All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this week's Marketcast call. Hope everyone is doing all right. Had a great weekend, all that wonderful stuff. As usual, if you wouldn't mind just chiming in, let me know if everything is working. That'd be great. And good morning to all of you. Give everybody a minute or two to get here. And good morning. Market waffling around here a little bit after last week. All right, I think we've done enough waiting here. So let's get into it. Of course, this time last week, our expectations for the market was for it to move higher, based on the week before. So, market delivered as expected, moving higher most of the week. Thursday, however, as you can see here, a nice little drop. There was a little bit of a curveball, faked us out a little bit, or at least, faked me out a little bit. That day saw the NASDAQ 100 here essentially coming down to support. But when we look at the futures, we had looked at a clear break of that support. So, again, a little bit of a surprise there for us because kind of narrowed down here, right? We saw that break, and that led us to believe that we could be ending the week on a rough note. Obviously, momentum diverging with it, and we may very well still be going lower, right? We haven't taken out that high from Thursday. But we did get that counter trend move on Friday, counter trend to the drop. And now I guess it's a somewhat of a wait and see here. Or we, faked out, or is this still an ongoing sell off that started on Thursday, right? As it pertains here to the Nasdaq, the futures, that is, right? Pretty much tested support there, right? And that goes back to Friday, pretty close to it anyway. So we'll see. Maybe waiting to see whether or not we kind of think we have a pretty good channel here or not. Uh, but yeah, so Thursday came along, certainly set us up for a little bit of failure going into Friday because we expected lower prices. And again, we may very well be going lower still. But save for something with like Prime Time or even Paragon, the problem is we don't, have time for that 1 day pause. Now, things look completely different if you come on over here to the NYSE. NYSE not only not moving lower, not only taking out that Thursday, NYSE really didn't struggle at all on that Thursday. It just kind of paused really. But it actually had a really good day on Friday, closed near its high and moved above a psychological mark at 19K. So NYSE looks great, right? So if we based all of our decisions on the NYSE, certainly we would probably be in a little bit better position on Friday than we were, right? Uh, so NYSE looking good, right? Russell had a great day. Now, of course, nowhere near its highs from several weeks ago, but still nice day. NYSE, Russell, everything there certainly looks like we'd expect to be moving higher. Dow looked pretty good. You can see the Dow just kind of sitting right here where these other peaks were, right through here. So it would sure seem as if the Dow would be moving higher. And we'll have to wait and see. Does this line still matter here? This line encompasses, this was the channel that pretty much encompasses, the entire bull run here, right? So see, pretty well defined. Went over it here, but it sure looks like exactly where we stopped on this rally back up. So, do we go ahead and still trust this channel? We'll see. Time will tell, all that wonderful stuff. But we just looked at the close. It looks good. Looks like we expect to go higher. New recovery high from that sell off from a few weeks ago. Combined with the Russell, combined with the NYSE, all looks pretty good, right? So we're kind of back in that weird boat where those three seem to be moving together, right? S&P and NASDAQ, not quite as much. That being said, S&P, didn't look too bad on Friday, nothing special, but it did recoup everything that it had lost on Friday from that high. Closed pretty close to the high of the day. Positive kind of look there at the end. And so everybody looks like they plan on heading higher. And, we are in a bull market. Shorter term move here is higher. So certainly moving higher wouldn't be any real surprise. The surprise would be that, we didn't move lower first after Thursday. And again, obviously here, as you look at the NASDAQ, it doesn't look quite the same, right? It doesn't quite look like we just looked at, say, with the NYSE or even the Dow for that matter. But you take the weight of the evidence, put it all together, and it certainly seems to imply that we'll be moving higher to start this week, and then we kind of go from there. Now, when you pan out, let's keep in mind that nothing changes the fact that, the belief here is that we're still in the bull market and new highs should be being hit. Our challenge is that we are not investors, right? So we don't just buy and hold with the services that that I'm personally involved in. Right, very short-term trading most of the way. So we have to get it right, on a smaller level. And certainly, if you put trades on a Thursday expecting to go lower, it's not going to work out very well when the market pops. But so for now, we always try to kind of look at the week ahead. Looks like higher, unless something changes. That certainly looks like higher. But let's not forget, right? We're getting ready to go into September here pretty soon. September, August, not uncommonly rocky. Some of the rockiest patches in history kind of happen through here. So it's kind of getting some rockiness. But right after that comes the October, November, December, right? Stretch that historically, seasonally has favored the markets, right? So everything should be in line for the higher prices as we move forward. And we'll continue to try to do the best job we can, navigating the journey along the way. as tough as it can be sometimes. Prime time, I'd been on an awfully good stretch, and so you know, taking a step backwards the past 2 weeks is no real surprise. We can't win every week. Um, Gambit obviously took the week off because I was gone, and Smart Trades delivered a nice little winner with XBI. I think everybody should keep everybody, not just Smart Trades members, but everybody should keep an eye on XBI and what that may or may not mean, right? Pretty clear mark. We targeted 102.50 with our trade. We went up, and as you can see, Wednesday hit 102.50, right? Pulled back down. We have a pretty clear, ceiling running across that top, and take out that 102.50. One would think that that's going to lead to, a pretty good run for the biotech space. So you can do one of two things. Obviously, with smart trades, we'll look to probably re-enter a trade on this. We took our 100%, called it a day, and worked out beautifully, right? Uh, Break back above, we'll get right back in and take it from there. Gold continues to move higher for us. Funny thing is, gold's probably going to, in the GLD by extension, they're going to reach our targets, but boy, buddy, they took their time. They have taken their time getting there. So we may look to just kind of take the loss on this trade and move on. Now that we locked in a pretty big winner on XBI, we don't want to give back that entire winner by getting wiped out with GLD. But as you can see in the lower left corner, right, up another $1.50 or so today. Looks like gold is heading higher. And so it kind of puts us in a tough spot there. Because I would think this, if you kind of look at what we're doing here, I would think that we're going to run to new highs again. 2,600 is an obvious number, which means, hey, we could probably get another 1.5% if we hang out, right? Maybe 2% total when you look at what the market's doing this morning. 2%, unfortunately, if you look at this here, falls well short of 240 or going in the money. So if there's one regret I have with this trade, it is that we didn't roll it down when we took this particular dip. And had we taken that as use that as an opportunity, would have changed the trade. But of course, it's always easy to say that after the fact, right? So market wise, plan to go higher. I would keep an eye on that XBI stocks overall. Okay. But you can certainly go, if you want, go pull up, wherever, go to Market Watch, pull up XBI and look at its holdings, right? You can go to any screener, pull up the biotech space, right? I mean, if I did that right now, let's see, super duper quick. Obviously, you guys don't see this, but I'm just pulling up a little screener on FinViz. I'm going to screener. Let's go, just stick with stocks. I don't know, go over $10. Let's make sure we pick the highest volume, over 2 million. And let's go on down to biotech. Let's flip them around from volume top to bottom. All right. And I came up with 15. And that's how easy it is, folks. Now let's fly through them. Again, you don't see the screen. You're seeing my screen, but we'll fly through them, right? So all I would do is start at the top. Number one is Iowa. Pretty bearish looking day there. So I don't know if I want to get long on that now, but this one pops up. Doesn't really do anything to excite me, to be honest with you. So let's move on to the next one. Oops, if I can get this ad out of my way. Oh, I guess I can't get this ad out of my way. Okay, weird, but all right. Some of these, gosh, we used to trade, but it's been a while. I'll pass. I don't know if this here kind of coming down to 12. So it's been a support area a couple times. I mean, if this got back above 14, you can kind of see 14, 14, 14. If this took out 14, you can see that being of interest. What else? Who's next? Oh, Moderna. Remember our friend Moderna? Let's look at Moderna. Haven't done that in a while. Took that out of our list. Looks like a pretty clear, maybe 80 here, hold 90. I mean, we could put this back in the list, but when we're looking for, you pan out here a little bit, and we're looking for biotechs. It's interesting because we've yet to see, well, no, we saw one, but I don't know how I feel about something doing this if I'm trying to find good biotech. So, but we also don't need to be trending higher, right? We just need maybe something. But this is moving against the XBI. I've never heard of this one. ADMA. Well, it's kind of cute. Adma Biologics. I'll admit, never heard of it. Thought I'd heard of them all. That's what my point is. This is kind of how you could go through it. Um, RPRX. I do remember this one. Yeah, nothing really here so far. So I'm not really seeing anything that would trying to see if there's anything else here. ROIV. Now there's a pretty broad range here between that 10 and 12 area. So if it goes to push out of it, I could see this being more of an investment. You take out 12-ish or that range. I don't know if it's something we would trade. Yes, I do. We wouldn't. So Summit looking good. Here's one we had in our list. I took it out. But so this would be interesting. Gotta like this above 70 if you get that, right? So that could be an interesting play. You break above 70, get a ride to 80, take out 80. I think of it getting back to 90, take out 90, gets 100. So this could be, so that's worth a look. That's the first one. So that's number 9 on this list. The only one that really, let's see, Amicus is an $11 stock. I don't know that we've ever really put this on our radar, but let's look at, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know on that one. What else we got? We got 4 more left here. Let's look at TJTX. I remember that. NC, Sava, and Bioman. NC. I don't know. I could see. I don't know. I could see something like this. Maybe above that 32.50. That was kind of the old ceiling back there. 32 is really. If you look here. I don't know. I could see that. Last one on Biomarin. This was on our list forever ago. Yeah, I don't see much. I'll see that VKTX. I know a little slim pickings there, but nothing I would be getting too terribly excited about. So that's that anyway. All right, stocks we did see last week that actually made plays on and stuff, but for everybody else, the Enphase finally taking out 120 after hitting it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 6 days. Finally took it out. So love that. It seems to open the door to a move higher. And again, full disclosure, prime time is in this trade, so really kind of liked it. VST, you may recall we were watching this last week, see if we get above 83. It did. So we like this to move higher. We did not put anything on here. UNH was tough because I like that it's finally, you can kind of see it just kept struggling to hold around this 580. Finally held it on Friday, but I just couldn't find an option price that I really liked. Uh, so you come into today, you'll see premiums deflate a little bit. So maybe there's a better opportunity here. In a perfect world, I'd like to target 600. So, for sure, UNH as a stock thing can make that move, but I didn't have the highest degree of confidence based on the cost of that. So kind of, combination of the two. Really liked the way the home builder, you know, and whatever you call Home Depot and Lowe's. I mean, Lowe's had some pretty good days here, but I really liked Home Depot. Whoops. Really thought there should be a good shot. This thing moving. Looks like it's pulling. It's kind of flat to start today, but markets move higher as expected. I would think this could take a shot up to the 385, 390. Eventually test its high. It looks like a stock that's eventually testing that old high up there. And then, the home builders on our list, I mean, they had some pretty good pops. Right. So, what else we got here, folks? Of course, obviously, the big news for the week is going to probably be this guy. Pretty good, pretty clear little ceiling there at the 130 mark. But, you know, all bets are off when you look at, what is it, Wednesday, I think, after the bell. So that could give the market some juice. And I think that's it. We're still keeping an eye on Exxon. Oops. It's turned back around. So if we get a run back up to that 120 mark, where is this thing on delay, or because I know I drew this level up here, so I'll put it back. But so making a little bit of a turn now, getting close to 118 in the pre-market. So gotta love this. If we take that out, certainly going to expect to get to here, but more likely new all-time highs there or new highs there. So yeah, so a lot of great stocks to watch for the week. Little mini breakouts here and there. Market looks pretty good. No reason to expect lower. Doesn't mean the market's not going to give it to us. But obviously, a lot of hustle and bustle about potential interest rate cuts, and market's free to do whatever it wants, obviously, and doesn't always make sense. I would say most of the time it doesn't make sense, but historically and most recently, rate cuts are not bullish; they are actually pretty bearish. So, in the previous easing cycles or the pivot, right? You go back to whichever. If you go back to 2007, you go back to 2000, and you go back to those rate cuts. There was a small rally afterward, and that's all she wrote. Both times, by the way. So I'd be very cautious on getting bullish once that rate cut comes. Until then, bullish as she goes. But seems like we're setting up for a good end of the year. I don't know. I have to look. I haven't looked recently as far as expected cut. So maybe we get it. I don't know, next year, and that I think that's where we might see some problems with the market. A lot of recession signals flashing. So we'll see how that plays out. But for now, hey, bullish as we go. All right. Any questions before we call it a wrap? Do I have a history of what happened? Well, the history is that market drops. Um, do I have? You can find it pretty much. It's kind of like the false belief that the Fed actually sets rates. Actually, it's the bond market that does it. Like if you ever looked at the yields versus the Fed, the yields lead the Fed, the market leads the Fed, not the other way around. Do I like Erie Hawking? What is that, Barry? I don't know what that is. I do have a chart somewhere. It's hold on. I can try to find it for you. Gosh, this was an old chart. Yeah, if you ever look, yes, the bond market leads the Fed. The Fed doesn't lead the bond market. Now, part of that's which is the chicken, which is the egg, right? But simply, if we stopped, if we didn't try to figure that one out and just simply looked, what you would see is bond markets are always slightly ahead of the Fed. Oh, I see. Here we go. Yeah, let me see if I can find that chart real quick for you, Mindy. Let me pull up some of these stocks here. NCLA, Somebody likes the cruise lines. We traded these forever ago. Is that right? Should be right. That's so simple, isn't it? Why isn't it working? This should work, right? Is it Thinkorswim? Oh, nothing's working. Okay. Maybe we won't pull those up. Let's see. I thought that symbol was right. Well, while we're waiting for that, let me see if I can find that chart. I have a ton of little charts that I've kept over the years here. Trick is finding it. It's not hard to reason at all, Mindy. Think about it. Would we be? Do we? We typically, we don't cut rates because things are going well, right? It's kind of like when somebody says, "Hey, because these economic numbers are what they are, that's why the market can't drop." Well, that's kind of silly. I have yet to see a bear market or correction take hold where the numbers weren't good, right? So you see how kind of it's a common thought, but it's also semi silly. Now, that doesn't mean that when the numbers are good that we're dropping. I'm just saying every time markets have ever dropped, things have been good, right? That's because markets are forward looking. So see how it makes sense when you think about it. I have yet to ever see a bear market start when things were already bad. Okay, right? Show me the time that happened, right? Markets are always ahead of things. Okay. Speaking of 2007, 8, 9 bear market, right? Nothing was good in March of 2009, last time I checked. As a matter of fact, unemployment went from 5 or 7%, or it kept climbing to 10%. Market already bottomed months before that, right? So to say just because things are bad, that's why we're going to keep dropping, well, that doesn't make any sense. That's nonsensical. It's borderline dumb. Of course, things are bad, but they're going to be bad when we turn as well, right? So it's kind of the opposite. So it's the same thing here when you think about it. Now, of course, we're talking about inflation and stuff like that, but typically, why does Fed start raising rates as a generic vanilla, right? Let's not get too deep in the weeds. Why does the Fed start raising rates, right? Because things are going good. Got to cool things off a little bit, right? So, yeah, here I found it. I don't know how old this thing is. But it's kind of, yes, most, well, I don't know. Not sure when I got this thing. Because I remember I had to keep it because no one believes that and kind of thinks it's my opinion. It's kind of like people think it's my opinion that the FOMC statements don't matter. So I had to start marking it so people can see, no, it's just the facts. They don't mean anything, not in the grand scheme of things and how what the market does. Market 99% of the time, 95, 90, whatever percent of the time, it just does what it was already doing. So here's the chart, Mindy, for you to see if you want to check it out. Let me pull this up. Make sure I get this right. Let's see, stop that. Do this. Let's go here. This isn't the one I was looking for, but it's the same idea. I guess maybe I'm not gonna be able to pull up any charts, so positive. Everybody see that? Top left should say Fed pivot. Top right should say Fed pivot. Everybody see that? I just want to make sure I did this right. Okay. So this is just where somebody was trying to get everybody to understand the same thing. And if you look at the first rate cut in these two bear markets in 2000, we were already in the bear market when that first rate cut came. You look at 2007, market had already dropped whatever it was, 10, 15%. After that rate cut, both times there was like a 3.5 week rally. In 2007, it took us to new highs, but that was all she wrote. Right. So you could think of it as buy on the rumor, sell on the news if you want. Does that make sense? But again, remember, we're not cutting rates typically because things are good per se. You use, again, I'm not talking about right now, this situation or any other situation. Don't want to bicker back and forth. Yeah, but the this and yeah, but the that. Just saying as a general economic, right, fiscal type, monetary, blah. The idea, hey, we raise rates to cool the economy off. We cut them to, right, kickstart it because things aren't right. So that's the general idea. Yeah. Is that okay? So it's not just me, Barry. Yeah, and nothing's coming up on my side. I was trying to pull up those stocks. Somebody asked me. Now I'll tell you what, my split screen is working, but when I go to the main charts, nothing's coming up. I was trying to pull up the cruises, and no, yeah, mine's not working either. Anybody else on Thinkorswim? Barry's having the same problem I am. But yeah, if I go back to it, mine's doing the same thing yours is, or I'm going to assume. I can't see yours, but I'm still getting this. I can't pull anything up, but this appears to be working. So, but yeah, over here, nothing's coming up. So sorry about that. I can't pull up that Hawken or Erie or anything. So, let me try it again next week. But yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff like that, Mindy. There's so much stuff in the markets that quote conventional wisdom. You know, and a lot of little things you've heard me say when it comes to trading too. Like, how many of you have ever barked the mantra, "Oh, you never get hurt taking a profit"? Actually, that's one of the most detrimental thought processes you could have because it's not being applied as it was intended. Okay. The intention there is kind of like, well, I didn't want to take this profit, but hey, I guess if that happened, that was not ever supposed to be a license to go running around taking small profits. So what we do is we use that mantra to justify taking the small profits, right? And then we feel like a champ because we got seven small profits in a row, and then bam, that eighth trade comes along, wipes out all seven, right? So there's tons of stuff like that that would seem to make sense on the surface. We hear buy low, sell high. You ever think about how detrimental that is, how toxic that thought is? So now you have a whole millions and millions of traders or investors refusing to buy breakouts because, hey, I'm supposed to buy low. Now, that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with buying low. I'm just saying breakouts are kind of cool too. Matter of fact, some would argue they're better. Something good's happening. Hey, we're breaking out, right? So there's a lot of stuff like that. But all right, we'll have to call it a wrap whether we like it or not because nothing's coming up here. But anyway, we'll do it again next week. All right, smart trades, folks. I'll see you here in a little bit. Everybody else, have a great week. Make a few bucks.